is Miss RUTH OROCAY, and the title of my dramatic monologue is The Room. In that place, between wakefulness and dreams, I found myself in the room. There were no distinguishing features, save for the one wall covered with small index card files. They were like the ones in libraries that list titles by author or subject in alphabetical order. But these files, which stretched from floor to ceiling, seemingly endlessly in either direction, had very different headings. As I drew near the wall of files, the first to catch my attention was one that read, "Boys I have liked." I opened it and began flipping through the cards. I quickly shut it, shocked to realize that I recognized the names written in each one. And then, without being told, I knew exactly where I was. This lifeless room with its small files was a crude catalog system for my life. Here were written the actions of my every moment, big and small, in a detail my memory couldn't match. A file named Friends was next to one marked Friends I have betrayed. I was overwhelmed by the sheer volume of the life I had lived. Could it be possible that I had the time in my 14 years to write each of these thousands or even millions of cards? But each card confirmed this truth. Each was written in my own handwriting, each signed with my signature. When I pulled out the file marked Songs I Have Listened to, I realized the file grew to contain its contents. The cards were packed tightly. But after 2 or 3 yards, I hadn't found the end of the file. I shut it, shamed, not so much by the quality of music, but more by the vast amount of time I knew that file represented. When I came to a file marked Last Full of Thought, I felt a chill run through my body. I felt sick to think that such a moment had been recorded. One thought dominated my mind. No one must ever see these cards. No one must ever see this room. I have to destroy them. In an insane frenzy, I yanked the file out. Its size didn't matter now. I had to empty it and burn the cards. But as I took it at one end and began pounding it on the floor, I could not dislodge a single file. I became desperate and pulled out a file, only to find it as strong as steel. When I tried to tear it, defeated and utterly helpless, I returned the files to its lot. Leaning my forehead against the wall, I let out a long, self-pitying sigh. And then I saw it. The title bore People I Have Shared the Gospel With. Its handle was brighter than those around it, newer, almost unused. I pulled on its handle, and a small box, not more than 3 inches long, fell into my hands. I could count the cards it contained on one hand. And then the tears came. I began to weep so deep that they had started in my stomach and shook through me. I cried out of shame from the overwhelming shame of it all. I felt sick to think such a moment had been recorded. No one must ever know of this room. I must lock it up and hide the key. But as I pushed away the tears, I saw him. No, please not him. Not here. Oh, anyone but Jesus. I watched helplessly as he began to open the files and read the cards. Why did he have to read every one? He looked at me with pity in his eyes. But this was a pity that didn't anger me. I dropped my head, covered my face with my hands, and began to cry again. He stood up and walked back to the wall of files, and starting at one end, began to sign his name over mine on each card. No! I shouted, rushing to him. All I could find to say was no! No! I pulled the card from him. His name shouldn't be on these cards. But there it was, written in red, so rich, so dark, so alive. It was written with his blood. His name covered mine. He gently took the card back, smiled a sad smile, and began to sign the cards. I don't think I'll ever understand how he did it so quickly. But the next instant, it seemed, I heard him close the last file and walk back to my side. He placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "It is finished." I stood up and walked back to the wall of files. There was no lock on its doors. There were still cards to be written.